In this lesson, we want to apply the Pythagorean Theorem in solving problems. For every right triangle, that's a triangle that contains one angle of 90 degrees, if the legs are designated by lengths A and B, and the hypotenuse has length C, notice C is across from the 90 degrees, then we know that A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Let's begin by verifying the Pythagorean Theorem in this example. Notice, let's label A as 7, B as 24, and C as 25. So the Pythagorean Theorem tells us that A squared plus B squared equals C squared. A in this case is, we have 7 squared, B is 24 squared, and C is 25. We're going to square that. 7 squared is 49, 24 squared is 576. We add these together, we get 625. 25 squared is 625. So in fact, the Pythagorean Theorem holds in this situation. Suppose we want to solve for the missing side. Notice in this case, x is the hypotenuse. Again, let's label this leg as 24, and this will be B, will be 10, and C will equal x. So we start with our Pythagorean Theorem. We replace A with 24, we replace B with 10, and we're trying to find the value of x. 24 squared is 576, 10 squared is 100, so we have 676 equals x squared. So to solve for x, we take the square root of both sides, so x equals the square root of 676, which turns out to be 26. So x equals 26 is the only logical answer here. Please notice this equation actually has x equal negative 26, but when we're looking for the length of the side of a triangle, it would make sense to have a negative number. Let's look at this example. Here we have x is the leg. So once again, let's label A, B, and C. Now if we switch A and B, it doesn't matter, since notice both of the legs always touch the 90-degree angle. But it's critical that C be the hypotenuse, the one that does not touch the 90-degree angle. So we have A squared plus B squared equals C squared. 8 squared plus x squared equals 17 squared. 8 squared is 64. 17 squared is 289. Notice x squared is not by itself, so let's subtract 64 from both sides of the equation. So x squared equals 225. To find the value of x, we take the square root of both sides. X equals 15 will be the only logical answer. Please notice it's important that each of these two legs always be less than the hypotenuse. If that's not a case, there is a mistake in our calculations. In example D, we want to find the length of the altitude. The altitude is the one that goes straight up, by the way. That's always at 90 degrees for the altitude. Now, notice because this is an isosceles triangle, the two sides this is going to have a value of 12, so we're looking for x. So let's label this as our A, this is our B, and this is our C. So we have A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So we have 24 squared, 12 squared plus x squared equals 20 squared. 12 squared is 144 plus x squared. 20 squared is 400. Let's subtract 144 from both sides of the equation. So x squared equals 256. So we take the square root of both sides. So x equals 16. So this would have to be 16 for our value of x here. Let's try one more example to find the length of the altitude, which will be this line right here. This will be 5, and we're trying to find the value of x. So this will be our A, this will be our B, and this will be our C. So we have A squared plus B squared equals C squared. 5 squared plus x squared equals 8 squared. 25 plus x squared equals 64. Let's subtract 25 from both sides of the equation. So we have x squared equals 39. Take the square root, x equals the square root of 39. That is not a perfect square, And sometimes such things happen. So in this case, x equals the square root of 39.